Welcome to Ecosystem Project Demo Episode 7. Today, we will be talking about the project Kurtosis. Kurtosis is a platform for packaging and launching environments of containerized services the way you need them, where you need them, with one-liners that just works. Kurtosis offered the Ethereum testing team the ability to spin up local testnets, allowing them to quickly cross-check the compatibility of roughly 20 possible client combinations, as well as new features with one of the most complicated upgrades, the merge. It is still a favorite tool of the testing team and is being used for the DevNet testing of Dencon upgrade. In this episode, we will be learning about this powerful DevOps tooling. Hi everyone, I'm Pooja Ranjan from the Ethereum Cat Herders, and we are joined by Derek, Lee, and Gyani. Welcome to the show. Maybe begin with a quick introduction. I noticed that we are also joined by another member of the team, Galen. So maybe we can, with a quick introduction, and let us know about yourself, and then we can get into the presentation, followed by question answer if we get some time.
Sounds good. I can go first. So I'm Gyani. I'm a software engineer at Kurtosis. I've been with Kurtosis for the last year and a month, and I do a lot of backend engineering, but I also do growth stuff. So that's why I do a lot of demos. Nice to meet you all. I'll give it to Derek.
Awesome. Thank you, Gyani. Hey guys, I'm Derek. I'm a PM at Kurtosis, and I actually started my journey in Web3 last summer during crypto winter. And so I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to have had the chance to work with a lot of really smart people in the Ethereum ecosystem. And also very excited to show folks what we have today here. I'll pass it off to Galen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Galen. I'm one of the founders of Kurtosis. So I've been working in this space for a little more than three years now. And excited to see Gyani and Derek show our stuff.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the brief introduction. And yes, we are looking forward to learn more about this tooling.
Awesome. And so I'll begin with saying that this presentation is just going to be on showing folks how the Ethereum Foundation DevOps team, as well as many other teams, are using Kurtosis to test Ethereum using custom DevNets built upon Kurtosis, of course. As I mentioned, I'm Derek, and Gyani will be giving the demo today. This presentation is quite simple. We're just going to talk quickly about what Kurtosis is. Then we're going to talk about the Ethereum package, which is built using Kurtosis. Gyani will then run through a really cool demo to show kind of the nitty-gritty, how everything works. And then we'll end off with a recap and some time for questions. And so without further ado, let's dive right in. So I'll begin with explaining what Kurtosis is. So Gyani, Galen, and I work at Kurtosis, and we are building a developer tool for defining and building distributed systems, just like Ethereum. The bread and butter of it is really just developers being able to write something called packages that are our version of an environment definition. And then people can use these packages to deploy environments for development and testing purposes. A lot of the reasons why our users love Kurtosis is because you get to define your system using a Python-like syntax that is way more versatile than YAML. It can also handle more complex cases like distributed systems such as Ethereum. Kurtosis packages also allow you to deploy these complex systems with a single line, and it will work the same way locally on my laptop, on remote infrastructure, and over Kubernetes, Docker, or on the Kurtosis cloud. So this really opens the door for high-scale testing and development if you so choose. Last but not least, developers get the chance to parameterize these packages. So in the case of you needing something small or large, I can custom and fine-tune that to my needs. And I can also opt for more simple environments or more complex environments, also completely up to me as the user. And so these are some features that people have really enjoyed and loved Kurtosis for. And so one of these packages is called the Ethereum package. And so what this is a customizable private Ethereum DevNet in a box that can be deployed using a single line. Gyani will show how that works later. And first and foremost, this is for teams who need a dev and test environment for the consensus layer of Ethereum. And this will work across multiple client types and at multiple scales, all in service of advancing Ethereum. The Ethereum package, there's a lot actually in there. It includes the generation of Genesis data, the generation of validator keys for the network. It then spins up all of the nodes. You could have 1, you could have 100, and some really fascinating tools at the end of it. So good tools for observing the network behavior, for manipulating the network, and doing all sorts of stuff like MEV workflows. And on the slide at the bottom, I put a few example teams that have been using the Ethereum package for various projects. As Pooja mentioned at the beginning, the Ethereum Foundation uses this package for the merge last year, but also for the Denkun upgrade, so proto-Denk sharding, and Verkle, that's up and coming as well. The Paradigm team, the team behind Reth, has also been using it to introduce and battle test their new execution layer client. We have the team at Flashbots testing propeller builder separation workflows using MEV-Boost. Nethermind testing their client as well, and Trail of Bits, which is a security team using the Ethereum package to simulate network behaviors. Yeah, and so that's kind of the Ethereum package. We're going to include a link at the end of this slide, but for now, we're going to dive right into a demo just to show you guys how that actually looks like.
So can people see GitHub open on my computer? Perfect. So the Ethereum package is a Kurtosis Starlock package that lives right here, and we'll have a link to it in the show title as well, in the show description as well, sorry. And you can see it's MIT licensed, and it comes with a very good README. It tells you how to spin up everything. So it runs you through instructions to install Docker and then to install the Kurtosis CLI. And yeah, I will give you a quick demo and then I'll explain you what's going on inside. So as Derek was mentioning, the packages that we spin up are parameterizable, and you can pass in different definitions to test different scenarios. So in this case, I'll be using a YAML called, which I'm calling complex.yaml, that will spin up a testnet with a few participants. So there'll be a Geth and Lighthouse pair, there'll be a Nethermind and Prism pair, there'll be a Reth and Teku pair. And just to make it more interesting, I'll be spinning up 2 of the Reth and Teku pair. If you want to spin up 10, you can make it 10 here as well, and it'll just work. So for the sake of demo, let's stick to 2. We are spinning up some exporters that will get us more metrics on all of these clients. And then we'll be spinning up a bunch of additional services as well. By default, you will get these 6, but I want to spin up the full Beacon Chain Explorer in this demo too. How do I do this? I go to my shell and I do Kurtosis run, and I am basically asking Kurtosis to run the package, which is the Ethereum package, pass in the parameter via the YAML, and I'm calling the enclave complex. So Kurtosis, whenever it spins up an environment, it spins it up in an enclave, which is an isolated subnetwork in Docker, and Kubernetes, it's a namespace. So let's see what happens when I do that. So it's creating an enclave. The code has been uploaded. It's validating that the code is correct. Then Kurtosis is figuring out what all images are needed for the code to run. So in this case, the demo has already been run on the computer. So it's picking up everything from the local cache. Otherwise, it would download it from the internet for you. It's also telling me that my computer is an M1 ARM64 machine, while some of these images are AMD64 only. Here we can see it's generating some Genesis data. And as it goes on, it's generated Genesis data for 4 different clients, which is what we would expect. And now it's spinning up one of the Teku Reth pairs, the first one. And it takes a few seconds for it to spin up this pair, because whenever Kurtosis spins up a client, and if the ports are defined, Kurtosis automatically confirms that the ports are up. You could also give custom definitions to check whether a service that's being spun up is healthy or not. So in this case, now we're waiting for the final client to be spun up, and it shouldn't take more than a few seconds. Now that's done. It's now spinning up the blob spammer, which is going to spam blobs when denup happens. It's spinning up Tora, which is a light Beacon Chain Explorer written by PK910 from the Ethereum Foundation. And now it's spinning up the full Beacon Chain Explorer. Let's give it a few seconds. And now it's spinning up Prometheus and Grafana. That should be the last of it. So as the run finishes, it gives us a bunch of information. It tells us the files that are in the enclave, and also tells us all of the service pairs that are in the enclave. You can see we have the 4 EL pairs and the 4 CL pairs, and the ret TQ pair happens twice. So let's say to figure out what the Genesis data looks like. Kurtosis allows you to do that pretty easily. So you can do complex, which is the name of the enclave, and then you can just put the name of the file. So you will see that the whole Genesis information is here, and I can just go in further and do a cat and see the Genesis JSON. But there are a bunch of other files as well. Going back to the main package and running enclave inspect again. We can also show you logs of every service that's in the enclave. Let's look at the blob spammer, perhaps. So the blob spammer is saying that it's still waiting for Capella to happen, and it's still Deneb. Perfect. And now let's look at some of the observation tools that spin up automatically. So this, I'll start the full beacon chain explorer. You can see that 8192 ETH has been staked. You can see that the 256 validators, because we have four validators and the 64 validators per validator node. You can see epoch 0 has happened. All of these slots are scheduled and some of them are proposed. You can also get a full list of the validators if you go all the way here. You can see how much they're staking, if they're active, if they're not active, what the index of the validator is, and a bunch of other information. Let's also have a look at the Grafana dashboards that we spun up. So I need to sign in. Admin, don't use that in production, but you can use that in test. So this is the default dashboard, but I'll show you the metrics dashboards that we enabled using Ethereum metrics exporter. So here you can see all of the ELCL pairs. You can see how much CPU each node is using. You can see how much memory each node is using. And you can also get some information about the network. If you want to zoom into one of the nodes, you can go to single, and then you can get even more information about a particular node. And using this dropdown, you can select what you want to do. So before I started the demo, I had started a MEV-rated demo as well on this tab. And in this case, I just passed in a URL from the internet and asked Kurtosis to spin up this definition on this URL. Let's have a look at the URL. And we shall see that it's spinning up an ELCL pair. It's changing the seconds per slot to 3, and it's spinning up a bunch of MEV components. And you can see all of the MEV components right here: MEV boost, MEV flash, MEV relay API. All of these are built by Flashbots. And we go to the website, and you can see that the payloads are being delivered as they are getting proposed. So this was Kurtosis running locally, but as Derek mentioned, we also have Kurtosis on the cloud. And I'll just give you a quick demo of it as well. So this is Cloud Kurtosis. You can log in, and you just need to use your Gmail to log in, and you can get an account for free. And the beautiful part of it is that local Kurtosis can be used to spin up cloud enclaves as well. So I can set the context to a cloud context. It's switching the context, and let's give it a few seconds. It's installing something called the portal, which allows you to forward ports from the cloud to local, so that for you it'll appear like everything is running locally, while actually it's running in the cloud. And I can do the same thing. I give it the URL locator, and now it's creating another enclave. This one's called Hidden Lake because we didn't name it, it named automatically. It's downloading images, and yeah, it'll take a few seconds, and then let's have a look at what's happened in the UI. I'll just refresh this. This is Hidden Lake, the same thing that we created from the terminal. And these services are slowly coming up. I'll just wait for this to finish before I click around on the enclave. Dora, Prometheus, Grafana. So this gives you a more visual layer over Kurtosis than what you would get with the CLI. And you don't have to have your own Docker instance. You can get started immediately. If you want to look at logs, you just click on this link here, and the logs should start appearing. Wait, I think I opened it in a separate tab, but I should have clicked on this. So the logs are appearing here. You can also see that the service has started these commands, there's these environment variables in this entry point, and you can see all the files, artifacts that exist. You can download them as well if you want to. And remember I mentioned the portal. So if I click on this link here, even though it's running on the cloud, to me, it appears like it's running locally. So I can set up a definition on the internet, and then I can use it locally using a simple endpoint. And this is by PK910, a smaller version of the full Beacon Chain Explorer. Before I end, I would like to thank some contributors that we have had recently, a bunch of people from the Ethereum Foundation. So Barnabas has been very helpful. You can see after me, he's the person with the most number of commits. He's been adding features for the past 2 or 3 months. Paritosh has also been a very good user. And then some people from Nethermind have been contributing, Kamil, Carlos, and a bunch of others. So I encourage people to go to the package, look at the issues, contribute, use, create more features, create more bug requests if there are bugs. So we'll fix everything for you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I'll hand it over to Derek again.
Cool. Thank you, Gyani. That was really awesome. And so just to recap, Gyani showed us how he was able to use his CLI to spin up the private Ethereum DevNet in a box in a single command. He also walked us through how he customized it along the way, changing the shape and the form of the DevNet. And we also walked through some neat tools as well. And then we wrap things up with the Cloud UI to show how people can click and view the enclave from their browser. And so before I wrap things up, I want to share that we have the GitHub link here on this slide. We'll share the slide with folks. We have a Discord link as well in case people are inspired to use the Ethereum package for their own needs, but also maybe write their own package for their development and testing needs as well. We also have a link to our beta version of the Kurtosis Cloud in case you want to run these packages and these devnets on remote infrastructure. We also want to give a special shout out to PEEP and EIP episode 116, where you can see Pooja and the Ethereum Foundation DevOps engineers give a talk on how they're using Kurtosis for testing Dencun. And last but not least, our team will be at DevConnect. And so for those that are heading there, please feel free to hit us up and come say hi. So that's the presentation. And so we're going to open up for questions now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this brief but very knowledgeable session on the demo and presentation for this DevOps tool. Testing is generally one of the most important part of an upgrade or a release. Historically, developers had always spun up something for themselves, especially in Ethereum community. I think my first question is for Galen. What would be your inspiration to include support for Ethereum blockchain here?
We started our work with the Ethereum Foundation back when the merge was happening. So when the merge was happening, there was a lot of moving pieces because all of a sudden there was a bunch of different client teams on the EL side, a bunch of different client teams on the CL side. And in order to effectively and quickly test changes, people needed to spin up a bunch of different test nets every week. So there was a lot of testnet creation, spin down, with a lot of different software versions needing to be tested. So that's kind of when the problem of client interoperability became very big in the Ethereum ecosystem. And that's when we started doing a lot of good work because one of the really powerful things about our tool is how easy it is to configure at a high level the differences in the test nets that you're spinning up. So that YAML that Gyani showed where you configure what the test net looks like, that's really good for testing arbitrary pairings between CL, maybe Teku and Reth or whatever it is. These two different clients, you can just configure that at a high level and easily spin it up, tear it down. So that's when we started working with the Ethereum Foundation. And since then, since the merge went through successfully, we've been doing kind of the activity on the test nets we've been working on kind of increase a lot when there's consensus layer and validation style testing going on and like block building style testing as well.
No, that's really wonderful. Like, I have heard a lot of good words. I'm sure developers may not be stopping while thanking you guys enough for everything that you guys have provided for testing of Merge. Merge was one of the most complicated upgrade because we were actually switching the network without stopping it even for a single second. Kudos for all the work that you guys have done over there. My next question is with respect to monitoring and analytics. I understand in the presentation, Gyani showed that there were Beacon Chain Explorer and also mentioned about the Grafana dashboard. Wondering if this is a native feature for the Kurtosis, or we are just supporting or collaborating with different teams to get the visualization available for the developers here.
I can take that question. So currently, as it stands, we spin up a Prometheus and a Grafana instance, and we have had contributors adding more and more dashboards. Barnabas added one of the dashboards. Sam added the Ethereum metrics exporter dashboard in the last week, and we've had people from Nethermind add dashboards as well. And now we support an API where you can bring your own JSON, and then we can just put it up. So this logic currently resides in the Ethereum package, but on the product roadmap, we are trying to have metrics being picked up automatically, so no one has to set up their own Prometheus instance. Kurtosis will give you that by default. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, that's definitely helpful because dashboards, Prometheus, or Grafana, they have been useful for developers. I was just wondering if something native can be developed, but it's good to know that people are already adding different type of dashboards. So it's not solely depending upon the Kurtosis team, but it's an kind of open source project getting contribution from everyone who is using this tool right now. Well, my next question is with respect to performance and load testing. Developers need to know how their application will perform under stress. Does Kurtosis offer tools for simulating high traffic conditions to test how the network and smart contracts respond to heavy loads and high volumes of transactions?
Yeah, I can take this question. So as I mentioned before, Kurtosis works on Docker or Kubernetes. So that means you could take advantage of the power that Kubernetes offers, and you can spin up thousands of nodes. So there's that angle of things. Kurtosis also comes out of the box with a couple of transaction fuzzers and blob spammers. And something that Gyani mentioned as well, it's called MEV flood. So these are services that you can optionally flip on or off that will spam the network. So you can have thousands of blobs for EIP 444, thousands of transactions, just a regular transaction, or MEV rich transactions. So to test your block builder, your searcher workflows for PBS. And so these come out of the box by default. You just need to set them enable to true, and you will have that for whatever application you're building.
I can think of Marius at this point of time. Maybe he is also thanking you guys enough for helping out with this fuzzing and like spamming off the transaction for the testing purposes. Very well. We have seen like it is useful for Ethereum, the blockchain, definitely on the protocol side. I'm wondering like a key part of Ethereum development is smart contracts. Does Kurtosis offer features to deploy and interact with smart contract within the test environment? And there's another question related with it. Does it provide automated testing framework to assess the contract's functionality and security?
Cool, I can take this one. So to answer your question right on, not specifically. So the Ethereum package spins up a full node. And so this is everything below the application layer. So what that means is tools like Hardhat, Anvil, and all those other great tools, they simulate the execution layer, but the Ethereum package spins up a full node that has both of the execution and consensus. That doesn't mean that you can't use these existing tools to test and deploy your smart contracts. And also because it's a community kind of built tool, this doesn't mean that someone else couldn't come in the future and add new scripts or new functionalities that would enable folks to test their smart contracts through and through. As long as it can be shipped via a Docker container, Kurtosis can be used to spin it up and attach it to the network. Gyani.
I'll just add to it. So we have an awesome Kurtosis repo where there's an example where there's a smart contract that gets deployed by Kurtosis. So as Derek said, other tools, they end up simulating a bunch of things, while Kurtosis gives you a JSON gRPC URL, and you can plug that URL into hard hat and launch as many smart contracts as you want. So that's the example you can see in Awesome Kurtosis. We also have a repo called Web3 Tools, which allows you to basically spin up the smart contracts via Kurtosis inside Kurtosis. Because in that case, you've containerized hard hat itself. So yes, the answer is yes, and like we'll link you to the examples.
That is awesome to know. So far, we have been dependent upon OpenZappling to maybe test any ERC and see if it is working fine with the project. It is good to know. Even for ERC authors, they would be happy to know that we have another tool which is available to maybe test their proposal standard that they are building and maybe able to test the final product, the project on that. Very well. I think here I would like to invite Santosh. I guess he has some questions for you.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja. Yeah, we are just curious on what kind of reporting and data visualization does Kurtosis offers to the test results.
Gyani, do you want to take that one?
I can do that. So Kurtosis, so we have the Ethereum package, which allows you to basically spin up anything, and out of the box we spin up a bunch of Grafana and Prometheus dashboards. So you get a bunch of data on what's happening in the network, what slots are being proposed, what the different validators are, and how much CPU memory each ELCL pair is taking. We also spin up the Beacon Chain Explorers that shows you what's going on in the network even further. And we also have some commands that allow you to dump the state of the network onto your computer. So if you use Kurtosis Enclave dump, you can get all of the logs that exist, and then you can ship that to someone else and compare notes on what happened in your network compared to their network. So a bunch of logging and like visualization tools should be there with the Ethereum package out of the box.
That's awesome. Yeah, that answers my question. And I do have the final one before we wrap up. How is Kurtosis integrated with other development tools, which is commonly used in the Ethereum projects?
Yeah, so similar to the question that was asked earlier, Kurtosis is a developer tool that you can use to define and bring up any kind of containerized service. And so those other tools, they could be like a hard hat script or Foundry Anvil. They can be used on top of Kurtosis. So while that isn't natively built today, anyone in the community can contribute and add that in. As Gyani mentioned, there's a Web3 tools repo with a lot of examples of how we use hard hat, but also some other tools as well to deploy onto the full node that the Ethereum package spins out. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thanks, Rick. Pooja, yeah, question to ask.
Yeah, I have just one final question. It's about documentation and support. Partly has already been answered that there is the GitHub repository where people can go and make the contribution. Anywhere else that they can find the existing support or any documentation that we can refer to people?
Yes, so we have, I think we're going to be able to include that at the end of with this recording, but we have our GitHub. So the repo for the Ethereum package, obviously, it's public, so people can contribute, take a look at, play with it. We also have our Discord for any folks that have questions. Whether you're building on top of the Ethereum package or hopefully you're running your own package, we're here to help.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Any final word, anything you guys want to plug in, share with the rest of the community?
Yeah, so I'll go first. So we have a lot of really cool teams building awesome stuff using the Ethereum package, whether it be new security tools, testing proposer builder separation workflows. Hopefully that will be enshrined not too far away. And so we're really excited to hear about some of the other ideas and stories of people building in the Ethereum ecosystem and how we could help. Specifically, I'll call out distributed validator tech as another angle, so like liquid staking as well. And so, yeah, just if you're in DevConnect, please do reach out or even on Discord. We'd love to hear from you.
I can go next. So there's also docs.kurtosis.com where you can get documentation on Kurtosis, Darlock, and write your own definitions as well. We're also being used by some people to do network partitioning testing. So you can spin up things in Kubernetes and then isolate networks, which is very cool. And there's Trail of Bits working on AttackNet, and I would recommend seeing how they use Kurtosis as well. I find that use case pretty interesting. And yeah, we're around. We're on Discord. We're on Talks Kurtosis. Our monorepo is public and it's open source as well on Kurtosis tech/Kurtosis. File an issue, ask a question, create a discussion. We are there. We're there for you. I'll hand it to Galen.
Yeah, I mean, Derek and Gyani said it. If you're going to be in Istanbul for Dev Connect, please reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you.
Very well. We appreciate you all taking the time to share info on the amazing testing tool and help the team with the network upgrade testing. Thank you, viewers, for following this wonderful talk with us. Till the next time, cheers.